Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jasoda Nandana Vrajana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Vrajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Manachari Yamuna Tira Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jasoda Nandana Vrajana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Vrajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vadachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya So we're reading 3rd Canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Jai Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. So we're reading the 3rd Canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 25. Okay, text 37. We did that one already yesterday, text 38. Na Karchid Matpara Sante Rupe Nakshanti No Me Animisha Leti Eti Yesam Aham Praya Atma Sutta Cha Saka Guru Shraddha Daivam Ishtam Nakarchin Matpara Sante Rupe Nakshanti No Me Nimashaleti Heti Yeshamaham Priyatma Sutascha Sukha Guru Shuta Daivam Ishtam Nakarchin Mat Parasante Rupe Nakshanti no me nimasholari hiti Yesha maham priyad masutascha Sukha Guru Shuta Daivam Nakarchin Mat Parasante Rupe Nakshanti no me nimasholari hiti Yesa maham priyad masutascha Sukha Guru Shuta Daivam
Sakha Gurum Surdo Daivam Nakarchin Mat Parashanta Rupe
Nakarchin Mat Parasante Rupe
Naksyatanti no me nimisholeri heti
Nakshanti no me nimasholari hiti
Yesha maham priya atma sudascha
Yesa maham priyad masutascha
Sakha Guru Surdo Daivam Ishtam
Sukha Guru Shuta Daivam Nakarchin Mat Parasante Rupe Nakshanti no me nimasholari hiti
Yeshamaham priya atma sutascha
Yesa maham priyad masutascha
Sakha Guru Suhrido Daivam Ishtam
Sukha Guru Shuta Daivam
Nakarchin Mat Parashanta Rupe
Yakarchin Mat Parasante Rupe
Nakshanti no me nimisholari hiti
Nakshanti no me nimasholari hiti
Yesha maham priya atma sutascha
Yesa maham priyad masutascha
Sakha Guru Suhrido Daivam Ishtam
Sakha Guru Shuta Daivam Nakarchin Mat Parasante Rupe Nakshanti no me nimasholari hiti
Esham aham priya atma sutascha
Yesa maham priyad masutascha
Sakha Guru Shuhito Daivam Ishtam
Sakha Guru Shuta Daivam Ishtam
Anyone online?
Nakarhichin mat parashanta rupe
Nakarchin Mat Parashanta Rupe
Nakshanti no me nimisho ledihetihi
Nashanti no me nimisholeri heti
Yeshamaham priya atma sutascha
Yeshamaham priya mastascha
Sakha Guru Surado Devamishtam
Sakha Guru Surdo Daivamishtam
Nakarhichin mat parashanta rupe
Nakarchin Mat Parashanta Rupe
Nakshanti no me nimishole hetihi
Nakshanti no me nimisholeri heti
Yeshamaham priyatma satascha
Yeshamaham priya atma sudascha
Sakha Guru Suhrido Devamishtam
Sakha Guru Surdo Daivamishtam
Nakarhichin mat parashanta rupe Nakarichinma Parashantarupe
Nakshante no me nimishole diheti.
Nakshanti no me nimishole diheti
Eshamaham priya atma sutascha.
Yesha Mahamaya Atma Sudasha
Sakha guru sukrado daiva mishtam.
Saka Guru Sudado Daivam Nishtam. Okay. Let it.
So the word by word synonyms. Na,
Not. Purchase. Ever.
Madhvara,
Madhura. My devotees. Shanti Rupe. O Mother. Shanti.
Lose. No, not. Me, my. Animisha, time. Vedhi, destroys. Eti, weapon. Yesham, of whom. Aham, I. Kriya, dear. Atma, self. Sutta, son. Cha, and. Saka, friend. Guru, preceptor. Sridha, benefactor. Daivim, deity. Ishtam, chosen. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Lord continued, my dear mother, devotees who receive such transcendental opulences are never bereft of them. Neither weapons nor the change of time can destroy such opulences. Because the devotees accept me as their friend, their relative, their son, preceptor, benefactor, and supreme deity, they cannot be deprived of their possessions at any time. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that one may elevate himself to the higher planetary systems, even up to Brahmaloka, by dint of pious activities. But when the effect of such pious activities are finished, one again comes back to this earth to begin a new life of activities. Thus, even though one is promoted to the higher planetary system for enjoyment and a long duration of life, still that is not a permanent settlement. But as far as the devotees are concerned, their assets, the achievement of devotional service and the consequent opulence of Vaikuntha, even on this planet, are never destroyed. In this verse, Kapila Deva addresses his mother as Santa Rupa, indicating that the opulences of devotees are fixed because devotees are eternally fixed in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, which is called Santa Rupa, because it is in the mode of pure goodness, undisturbed by the modes of passion and ignorance. Once one is fixed in the devotional service of the Lord, his position of transcendental service cannot be destroyed, and the pleasure and service simply increases unlimitedly. For the devotees engaged in Krishna consciousness in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of time. In the material world, the influence of time destroys everything. But in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of time or of the demigods, because there are no demigods in the Vaikuntha planets. Here, our activities are controlled by different demigods. Even if we move our hand and leg, the action is controlled by the demigods. But in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there's no influence of the demigods or of time. Therefore, there's no question of destruction. When the time element is present, there is certainty of destruction. But when there is no time element, past, present, or future, then everything is eternal. Therefore, this verse uses the word Nagshanti, indicating that the transcendental opulences will never be destroyed. The reason for freedom from destruction is also described. The devotees accept the Supreme Lord as their most dear personality and reciprocate with him in different relationships. They accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the dearmost friend, the dearmost relative, the dearmost son, the dearmost preceptor, the dearmost well-wisher, or the dearmost deity. The Lord is eternal, therefore any relationship in which we accept him is also eternal. It is clearly confirmed herein that the relationships cannot be destroyed, and therefore the opulences of those relationships are never destroyed. Even every living entity has the propensity to love someone. We can see that if someone has no object of love, he generally directs his love to a pet animal like a cat or a dog. Thus, the eternal propensity for love in all living entities is always searching for a place to reside. From this verse, we can learn that we can love the Supreme Personality of Godhead as our dearmost object, as a friend, as a son, as a preceptor, or as a well-wisher, and there will be no cheating and no end to such love. We shall eternally enjoy the relationship with the Supreme Lord in different aspects. A special feature of this verse is the acceptance of the Supreme Lord as the Supreme Preceptor. Bhagavad Gita was spoken directly by the Supreme Lord, and Arjuna accepted Krishna as Guru or spiritual master. Similarly, we should accept only Krishna as the Supreme Spiritual Master. Krishna, of course, means Krishna and his confidential devotees. Krishna is not alone. When we speak of Krishna, Krishna means Krishna in his name, in his form, in his qualities, in his abode, and in his associates. Krishna is never alone, for the devotees of Krishna are not impersonalists. For example, a king is always associated with his secretary, his commander, his servant, and so much paraphernalia. As soon as we accept Krishna and his associates as our preceptors, no ill effects can destroy our knowledge. In the material world, the knowledge which we acquire may change because of the influence of time. But nevertheless, the conclusions received from Bhagavad Gita directly from the speeches of the Supreme Lord Krishna can never change. There is no use interpreting Bhagavad Gita. It is eternal. Krishna, the Supreme Lord, should be accepted as one's best friend. He will never cheat. He will always give his friendly advice and friendly protection to the devotee. If Krishna is accepted as a son, he will never die. Here we have a very loving son or child, but the father and mother, or those who are affectionate towards him, always hope, may my son not die. But Krishna actually never will die. Therefore, those who accept Krishna or the Supreme Lord as their son will never be bereft of their son. In many instances, devotees have accepted the deity as a son. In Bengal, there are many such instances, and even after the death of the devotee, the deity performs the Shraddha ceremony for the father. The relationship is never destroyed. People are accustomed to worship different forms of demigods, but in Bhagavad Gita, such a mentality is condemned. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to worship only the Supreme Person of Godhead in its different forms, such as Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram, and Radha Krishna. Thus, one will never be cheated. By worshiping the demigods, one may elevate himself to the higher planets. But during the dissolution of the material world, the deity and the abode of the deity will be destroyed. But one who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead is promoted to the Vaikuntha planets, where there is no influence of time, destruction, or annihilation. The conclusion is that the time influence cannot act upon devotees who have accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as everything. So that was a nice first, a good purport. Nice, good, long purport. So there's a lot of points. So yeah, I was listening to the verses. Time is discussed a lot. And so there's the eternal time, and then there's the temporary time. So it says, I believe this was the verse I was listening to in chapter 28, where it is discussing time. Prabhupada is saying if you're 15 years old or if you're 30 years old, that much time of the duration of your life has already been spent. Right. So that much of the duration of your life you've already used up. And they said, and the time factor starts working on the body as soon as the body is born, as soon as it takes its birth. I believe that's what Prabhupada was saying in the purport too. From that specific date in time, when it takes its birth, the time factor has its influence. And so the time factor is really, really subtle. It's hard to try to focus on it. but scientists have combined space and time as space-time. So I was kind of confused about that, how like distance and space and width and all that, width, height, breadth, how that is also 60 seconds to a minute, 60 minutes to an hour, right? So, and we were reading that, what was it, time calculated by the atom? And so the way that Maharaj explained it was, well, it's the distance that it takes to travel that specific distance, right, is how time and space are both related and pretty much both the same thing. Is that where the really, really, really far away, those really, really far away stars, you know? So it would be the amount of time that it would take to be able to travel across the universe to those planets or those stars. Let's see. So that kind of cleared things up quite a bit. Kind of made it a little more tangible, something a little more to focus on. But what else are they talking about? The time may seem to go really, really slow. Time may seem to go really, really fast, but that doesn't influence the clocks. The clocks still go at their own pace, the same pace. It doesn't change it. Even if they did something that actually accelerates time and space, like going out in space. Actually, they have some sort of clock. Basically, it all kind of comes together, I guess, because maybe the circumference of like the center of gravity of the Earth, and if you go way, way up there, then it's going to take, even though it's the same revolutions per minute, if it's on the outer edges, it's going to take longer to travel or something. So I believe I read something that they have a clock. The clock is different, so that it corresponds with the orbit that it's in and the space time in a specific satellite. Is that the same clock that we have on Earth? So I guess what happens is scientists, when the astronauts come back, they change their birth certificate, make them a few days younger or something like that. So anyways, yeah, there's some sort of influence with this, with time and space, the width, the breadth, the length of the entire universe. So even though Brahma Bhuta, what is it, Brahma Bhuta, from the highest planet in the material universe down to the lowest, all the places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. So that's what Prabhupada is talking about in this purport. The worshiping the demigods is condemned. And what he said in the purport is that the annihilation of the universe and the deity of the demigod and the devotee of the demigod are destroyed. But that's not so in the spiritual world because there's no demigods, no heavenly planets. But that's what Krishna states, is that the benefits are all temporary, right? What else? They're perishable and temporary. So where they were talking about karma credits, the karma. Let's see, he had a name for, the karma stock market. The karmic stock market, right? Is that there's no loss or diminution for devotional service that we perform, so that's eternal. But the fruit of the karmic activity derived from fruit of activity, it's temporary, and it accumulates. And they all have adverse reactions, as Kapila Dev is going to mention, the adverse reactions to fruit of activities. You get your desire, but you lose your intelligence. If you want to fly, you lose your intelligence, you become a bird. I was kind of wondering about, those It's called an albatross. It's the largest seabird that's out there. I guess they can be like 4 feet tall or something like that. They're basically like a seagull, but they're really, really big, right? But Prabhupada was saying the animal kingdom have no economic scarcity. They don't have an economic problem. Everything is by nature arranged where all the animals, they have their maintenance and their upkeep. The elephants are supplied tons and tons and tons of leaves, right? And they're even way high. They're for the elephants. They're for the elephants and giraffes who can reach them, right? So they're way up high. They're for them, right? And what is it? A hawk, you can see a rat or a rodent or a rabbit or something from way high in the air. So he's got good seeing power. And Prabhupada was talking about that, how the fish is caught by the tackle. He loses his life for the sense of the taste, right? And so then the bee, he loses his sense for the taste of the smell, enters the lotus flower, and the lotus flower at night, it closes, and the bee, he suffocates. And they train a female elephant to run around a camouflage hole when she attracts a male for sex life. And so the male elephant falls into the ditch. And Prabhupada said for sex life, the elephant, he loses his independence. See what else there? Oh, yeah, the moth. Prabhupada was saying sightseeing. To see nice, bright, beautiful flower, the moth flies right into the flames and is extinguished. So that's pretty much like the analogy of persons who are heading headlong into the disaster, not knowing what the results of their activities are. They think they're enjoying the senses and they're going along with all the bumps and the hits as well as it comes along. They're headed headlong into disaster, just like the moth is impelled into the fire, right, and is extinguished. So that's what's happening to the living entities in the material world, engaged in sense gratification. So the intelligent person, that's what they're saying. We need to hear about Krishna. And Prabhupada was saying, so when we say Krishna, we're just not referring to Krishna. Krishna is a person, or Krishna is the supreme person of Godhead. Krishna is God, or whether Krishna is God or not, Krishna of Vrindavan. But we're saying that Krishna is not different from his name, his fame, his pastimes. There's Krishna's book, his Bhagavad Gita, his instructions, his associates. So when we say Krishna, it's pretty much like a pretty loaded package. Right, Krishna is never alone, but he's also with his paraphernalia, his qualities, his tributes. You have a question or comment? Okay, so let's see what else we're listening. Oh yeah, I wanted to. So Bhakti Vikas Swami, he was also discussing a few different things too. He was also mentioning the 10. Jai Gaura Nitai Ki Jai. Yeah, he was discussing like Srimad Bhagavatam, and he discussed like the 10 main points of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's that Krishna is the original creator, existed before the creation, and will continue to exist after annihilation. And Brahma is the secondary creator, and the demigods and the Manus populate the universe. Let's see what else was there. Oh yeah, the Supreme Lord is our only protector. The Supreme Lord is actually our only protector. So there's 10 specific points of Bhagavad Gita and 7 specific points of Bhagavad Gita and 7 specific points of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's see. And then what he had mentioned is that the Srimad Bhagavatam is a real important text. in the form of the Chatur Shlokas. Chatur Shlokas, the first original 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam that were imparted to Brahma, right, is that the Srimad Bhagavatam has even been in existence even before the Vedas. So this took place just after creation, just before Brahma creates the universe and composes Brahma Samhitas, his prayers. So yeah, maybe while I think about that, is there any questions, comments, or points of discussion? You have a question, comment?
So I really like this this concept about when we speak of Krishna, you know, we mean so many things, and Krishna is never alone, just like a king. And I was listening to a little lecture. I think it was the same one that Jagannath was listening to. It's a very early lecture, or rather, it's a lecture on one of the very early verses of Gita. And many persons, they say, well, why are you interested in Kurukshetra and all this? Like, and we are interested because all the warriors' names are actually in relation to Krishna and Krishna's activities. And then Prabhupada is saying, actually, everything is Krishna's energy. So if everything is Krishna's energy, and one can remember that through hearing, then he can see Krishna by his intelligence. And he sees the table and he remembers it's Krishna's energy. Then he actually associates with Krishna through his intelligence, which he got from Krishna himself, from Gita. And then, as soon as there's a relation to Krishna, then there's this word like this Yukta Vairagya verse, Sambandha, Krishna Sambandha, that Rupa Goswami says that as soon as there's a relation to Krishna, then it can be used. And what does not, like, so then everything can be used for Krishna. And this is actually the amazing thing about devotional service as a Vaishnava, is that it's not nothing is lost. Like this purport Prabhupada was saying that none of the opulences are lost for the devotee. And it's interesting that, like, Krishna has given whatever abilities or wealth or whatever like that. And he's also given transcendental opulences, like attraction for Krishna's service, being fixed in service, and getting to speak with the Lord. And those things are never lost. And what's amazing is that even our material opulences, like we can just start from where we are right now and start seeing the relation to Krishna and everything and using them in Krishna service. And he may take away something temporary, eventually takes away the body, but if we used everything temporary in his service, actually it wasn't temporary at all. So devotional service is really awesome, and yeah, thank you for that, for allowing me to share that. Hare Krishna.
Oh, thank you very much for that. Yeah, I like the eternal nature of our devotional service. Devotional service will continue to go on. Yeah, Yukta Vairagya, utilizing everything within the service of the Lord that can be utilized, for service. So, yeah, it was really good. Yeah, Prabhupada was talking about, like, the 5 different relationships, the way that he had put them, because they were also talking about those specific relationships as well. Where was he talking about, like, neutrality or servitude, worshiping the deity, or you'll never lose your son, be bereft of your son, if you have the Supreme Person of Godhead as your son. So it has that eternal nature. Krishna's well-wisher, lover, friend. One becomes Krishna's servant. So yeah. So it's a unique process. It's was it Rishi Kumar? He had mentioned that he was thanking Prabhupada and devotees for engaging us in this amazing process of bhakti yoga. But it has its effects. It's the highest yoga platform. It's what's missing in all aspects of material life or yoga or meditation is that you have to come to the point where Krishna is the basis and is the purpose of studying the Vedas and practicing austerity, religiosity, and yoga is to understand that Krishna says Sarvesha Veda Vedeshu Vedakrit Vedakrit is that studying all the Vedas, Krishna is to be known, but that's the missing point. That's why Narada Muni was asking Srila Vyasadeva to directly describe devotional service in the Supreme Person of Godhead and his devotees, in a direct way, in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Bhagavatam is composed of past histories, not necessarily in chronological order, as in the material world, things kind of go along a chronological path. But that's the chronological order is immaterial, but the study Srimad Bhagavatam, like you said, ontological, from the beginning to the end, just like meditating on Krishna's lotus feet, from his lotus feet and raise a little higher, his ankles, his knees, his shins, his yellowish colored garments, shallow waist, broad chest, his forearms holding his weapons or symbols, his disc, conch shell, lotus flower and club, like that. Meditating Krishna's contented smile, a smile of contentance, teeth that resemble jasmine buds. So you get to the Krishna's smiling face, like that. So that's the way to think about Krishna. But utilizing everything in Krishna's service. Prabhupada was saying that when you see Krishna's energy, you just don't see a tree. See that this is how it's Krishna's separated material energies. How there's the living entity there, the living entity's karma, the super soul is there. The tree is combined diverse water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So everything in the material world is pretty much composed of these elements. You have your metal elements that come from the earth, and your jewels and gems, as well as the agriculture that comes from the earth. Demigods fall from the heavenly planets in the form of rain and take the birth in the form of grains, which are consumed by man. And so the demigods, they fall down, they come down to the earth planets again. So I guess we're just about out of time. Any comments or questions or subject of discussion? Or yeah, we have a question.
This point that you highlighted about never losing that intimate relationship with Krishna, that's exactly what we're all looking for. Some love that never dies.
Yeah, right now we just don't recognize it. It's in a dormant state. Right. Okay, Jai, that's a nice comment. Srimad Bhagavatam class to Jai.